Milo, is that you?
There, I think I got it.
If it's N, if it's H-O, the fast track is Rapido.
Rapido Trains.
Your fast track to model railroading fun.
Dave, really quick. You're too busy to spend any time with us.
I heard that there was a great train show in Springfield.
Yeah. Here's something I want to discuss with you that has actually been gnawing at my brain. Okay. So I haven't talked to John Sacerdoti yet about next year's booth, but I'm assuming we're going to have the same booth. I was thinking we only need 3 tables, but maybe we'll get 4, and we can have somebody else or Iowa Scaled or somebody who can be there. But I think it really all we need is 3, 2 for the podcast and 1 for you. It'd be a little more crowded behind the tables, but I think we could handle that.
Yeah, we're a snuggly kind of crowd. So, and in fact, there was a lot of that crossing over already.
Yeah,
which is pretty exciting. So it was a lot of fun to be behind the table with Bruce and Michelle and Kevin, and it was a lot of back and forth back there. It was to spend time with Scott Lister was a real pleasure. The Smart Brothers, it was a lot of fun.
So anyways, you asked me for next year, you'd like to make sure that the Onondaga Cutoff is listed on the map?
Yes.
I can't promise that.
I understand.
Okay. I'm going to work on it, but I can't promise it.
Oh, of course. In the end, it really is up to John and the Amherst Society. But it is the greatest train show that I've ever been to. That's bar none. And I've done my homework on that. So it's an impressive feat. And just based on the feedback from fans of the Onondaga Cutoff, they were like, "Oh, I knew you said you were going to be here, but I didn't see you on the map." And I said, I'll make sure I can ask about that.
And I will ask, too. But John has been so kind to us over the years. I don't want to wear out my welcome.
I understand. And so one way or the other, I'm here to be of support, and it's just a pleasure to be able to be along for the ride.
Okay. So this is Springfield show report number 3. And I just thought I'd tell you who's going to be on it, and you can help me introduce it.
Great.
So first person up is going to be Alan Mozikis from Atlas. Do you know of him?
I do.
That'll you really?
Exciting. He's one of the newer guys at Atlas, if I'm not mistaken.
How do you know everybody?
Well, I shouldn't say know everybody, but the model railroad manufacturing community is a wonderful, tight knit group of people that are working to make the hobby better in most cases. So it was with good intentions that I heard about this. I actually heard about him through NJ Transit, through my contacts there.
Really?
So, yep. So just that there was a new hire and his name was Alan. So there we go. Very cool.
So who at NJ Transit told you about there's a new hire at Atlas Model Railroad Company?
A fellow named Jonathan Benjamin.
Really? And
Yes.
Is he a modeler too?
He is he's more of an O-gauge guy. I don't think he really does much of his own modeling, but he works with the marketing department for the trademarks.
Really?
And so just as familiar with the Atlas structure because of that.
Oh, well, isn't that interesting? You're just an endless pile of interesting stuff. How about Best Trains or Bollinger Edgerly Scale Trains? Have you ever heard of them?
I've heard of Best Trains. I
Yeah.
did not know the longer name.
Okay, so they weren't actually that far from our booth. Did you ever get over to the Craftsman section there that wasn't that far from us?
Yes.
Okay, well, they were in there. They have this huge display of castings and stuff.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, so we talked to him. And then, have you ever heard of something called Hattons?
No.
That is a company which actually is huge. It's in Britain, and it's a model railroad shop in Britain. It's actually huge. It's all you got to do is type in Hattons on Google, and it comes right up. And it's hattons.co.uk. And they've been to Springfield now a couple of times, and set up a pretty big display. They also weren't that far from us. And they have this huge, like probably, I don't know, whatever, probably 20 feet by 30-foot display they have over there. They have a huge area, maybe 10 by 20. But anyways, what they do is they resell. They buy, collections from people that, passed away or something like that. Plus, if you want to sell your stuff. Plus, they just sell model railroad supplies to Britain and Europe. But they also now have a huge market in North America.
Amazing.
Yeah.
The hobby's growing.
Yeah. And I talked to a guy there named Jack who I couldn't understand. They're in Liverpool, and Jack was a super nice guy. I mean, if you go to their website, it'll blow you away. It's really something.
Oh, sounds good to me. That's exciting.
And then we talked to Karen and Dwayne from the Reading Historical Society, and they were interesting, telling us all about. They had a beautiful layout there. Well, how much of the show do you actually think you saw, like percentage-wise?
Oh, maybe 15%.
Yeah.
20%. I mean, I did get to every building over the course of Friday night, Saturday night, and Sunday, but it's overwhelmingly gigantic. It's incredible. Like I can't emphasize enough that everyone should find a way to get to this show.
Yeah. Like whatever.
And the town has the capacity. The taverns, the bars, the restaurants, the hotels, the capacity is there. Like you guys can make it work. And it is, so it's as much as what's awesome that's in the show, the people are there. It's just great. You get to talk to everyone.
So you'd been there like 10 or 15 years earlier.
Yep.
So you returned on a scale of 1 to 10. How much, I don't know what the right scale would be, but how much were you kind of like, holy moly, I didn't know it was like this again, now.
I would say at least 6 or 7 out of 10, because when I went, it was 3 buildings now, or 2.5, they had one. Now it's going to be 5 next year. They said, it was four this year full, and there was outdoors displays,
and they're working on a 5th. Yeah.
They're working on a 5th. Unbelievable.
We also talked to Ron Klaiss from Mind Mount Models. He's always interesting. He's doing really good with his kit company, and it's
exciting to see. Yep, there's a lot of very popular builds going on with his stuff now, and Ron's a good guy who really, I think, he loves the hobby, and he's a guy that's very good with his hands. The kits are world class. He's actually a fellow New Jersey resident here. He's been to the OC a couple times.
Oh, has he?
And yep. And I'm really excited to see how he's taken off.
We got to get you hooked up with Joe Desmond too. I mean, he would love to come to your layout.
Yeah, we've crossed paths with that. Yeah, we do have to find a way to make that happen.
And we talked to Michelle Kempema. It's Kempema. It's a hard one to say. Once you get it and wrap your head around it, it's pretty easy.
I'm sorry, Michelle. I did not mean to mispronounce it. Kempema. Okay.
Kempema. And she's always lively. So she was there. She had a bit of a display, and she kind of works the whole damn show. And she was there with the women. There's a new LD SIG group called Women in Model Railroading. And there's guys belonging to it. That I don't understand, why guys are joining the Women in Model Railroading SIG group.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't understand that either.
That one confuses me. They asked me, would you like to join? And I went, no, I'll support you. I'll donate, but no. because no matter what happens, if I join in a year, I'll be in crap. I'll be in shit for something.
No, not you.
Yeah. And finally, this is my favorite interview of the bunch, so that's why I left it to the end. Is we talked to George Sebastian Coleman, who was my editor when I wrote for Model Railroader, and basically was my own personal English professor, and he basically taught me how to write. While I was writing the column, he taught me how to write. And
how cool!
Yeah, it's very cool. He taught me a lot of really cool things, and how to be. I love the one thing he said to me that will stick with me forever and ever. He said one of the nicest things to me, because we were talking not long after I started the column, maybe 2 or 3 months, and I said, it'd be really cool. It'd be really fun one day to be an author. And he said, without missing a beat. He said, well, aren't you getting paid for this? And I said, yeah. He says, well, you are an author. And I thought, man, I wish my grade 12 English teacher was here to hear that.
Exactly.
All right, that's it. So now, do you know what you got to say now?
Subway chime, go.
And now I'm here. I'm still in the Mallory building. I'm here with Matt Mosikas from the Atlas Model Railroad Company. Hey, Matt.
Hello, everyone.
So what do you think of the show this year?
Oh, excellent. Great attendance, beautiful weather.
Much better weather than last year, right?
Much better weather, yep. And this is actually Atlas's first year back since the beginning of COVID and all of that.
Right.
Unfortunately, last year we had to miss out. Even with the snowstorm, we still wanted to come. But
Sure, yes. And I was looking for you last year. I was disappointed that you weren't here.
It was unfortunate we couldn't be here.
Right.
But.
So what's new at Atlas? What's
Plenty of new stuff. We have a HO viaduct with single and double track variations, as well as it's over here if you want to see it. I know that people listening can't see it.
Right.
But
this is an audio podcast.
Yeah, it's easier to tell you about it in front of it.
Wow.
Yeah. So this is the cut stone variation with clean cut stone. We have a rough cut stone variation as well as a concrete stone variation. So 3 different variations, single track and double track for now.
And it's modular, so you can just string as many of those together as you would like to make a really long, impressive bridge scene.
And this is a North American style viaduct. There's HO viaducts out there, but they're very European looking.
Right.
This one will look like a Erie Lackawanna, a D&H Pennsylvania viaduct.
Yep, it's got the arches.
It's got the proper arch spacing and stuff, and it'll fit into a North American layout.
Wow, what inspired that? Was it just you saw a niche in the marketplace, and
we saw a hole in the marketplace, and we also have our N scale viaduct. We had that one since the 1960s at Atlas, but we never offered an HO one.
Right.
So we felt it was about time, and continuing with our track and accessory line that is our cornerstone of our products.
Now, does it looks like this needs to be assembled by the modeler?
It does. It comes as a kit.
Okay.
And you'll get 1 span per kit.
Okay.
So it's 1 arch per kit, and you got to assemble it yourself, but you can string as many as you want together, and it's an instant eye-catching structure on any
and
layout.
it's just styrene, so it's just regular.
It's regular plastic injected molding.
Okay, so just regular model glue that you use on a freight car or a plastic structure. Okay.
Yep. And then if you follow me over here.
Fantastic.
A little bit. I could show you that we acquired the Point St. Charles caboose from True Line Trains, which is a really, really popular model with Canadian modelers and even guys in the U.S., wherever CN goes.
Right. I think they call them vans up there, though, right?
Yeah.
But no, that's beautiful. A very, very high level of detail.
Super high level of detail.
Separate grab irons and...
Yep, all sorts of lighting features. Really cool model.
Oh, it lights up, too?
Yep.
Wow.
Interior lights. And as well as the Point St. Charles caboose, we got the HO Mini Box, which is a super common Canadian boxcar. CP had them forever.
Okay. Why is it called a Mini Box?
It's tiny capacity. So it has a short... It's like a 7,500 square feet. Nope.
Okay.
It's just a smaller, it's like an X29 boxcar for the Penty modelers who are familiar with that.
Okay.
But it's a Canadian version. It rides a little bit higher, and the roof's a little bit shorter.
Oh, okay. So it's a slightly smaller car. So
it got the nickname Mini Box.
So it would kind of stand out in a train compared to others, more quote unquote standard sized boxcars.
Definitely stick out in a train.
Okay.
Transition era boxcar is good.
Okay, and I see some new locomotives here.
Some new locos. We got the U28Cs and the CG in Santa Fe. So these are all new tooling. We have the proper radiator section back there.
Mm-hmm.
It's actually etched metal part. And then we have, for the Southern Pacific model here, we have the ash can emergency light, as well as the Mars light on the nose.
Right. I know the SP had a lot of extra lights on their locomotives, and that's always a feature that in the past you had to apply those details separately.
SP guys would have to do it all themselves in the past.
Right.
But now with all the companies focusing more on detail and high levels of detail, they don't have to worry about that. You even have the SP Bell mounted behind the cab. So the SP just loaded with neat features.
And these are available
or
without DCC and sound? Or?
Yeah, so they're available without sound, with sound.
Okay.
Our silver and gold series. We've got the UP one here that has a beacon on the cab as prototype, and then the horn mounted in the rear.
And the beacon, does the beacon light up on the
Unfortunately,
the
beacon doesn't light up.
Oh, okay.
On the SP model, the ash can does work and gyro, it flashes.
Right.
And even the Santa Fe, they have a Mars light in the nose, and that
flickers.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. So very cool stuff here.
All right.
We of course have our summer announcement, the Metra cars, the Nippon Gyro commuter cars all over Chicagoland, and these are actually coming in very soon. We expect to receive them in April.
Okay.
So from our summer announcement to April, we're really happy to get something out quick.
How are things? That brings up an interesting point. How are things now? Now that we're kind of coming out of COVID, but it's still there. How is that impacting your supply lines and shipping? Are things getting better? Is it about the same? Or are there still challenges?
Things are getting much better.
Okay.
So during the height of COVID, container cost was off the charts.
Right.
It was insane. And also the Chinese dealt with the same stuff that we were dealing with. Like, we couldn't have that many people in the office as we wanted. But the same thing, they couldn't have as many workers in the factory as they wanted.
Oh, okay.
So that really impacted production, having limited amount of workers in the factory. But now we're seeing workers, right before this Chinese New Year started, they started getting more and more workers back, and productions are getting back to normal.
Okay.
And since Atlas had our little factory, we lost a supplier in 2017 that everybody remembers.
Yes.
We have a long list of suppliers now. So,
okay.
And they're all pretty familiar with our products, so we can choose who we supply with our projects and stuff. And
right, so you have multiple sources you can
we have
shift
multiple
work
sources.
back and forth.
So if there's ever like an emergency where one goes out of business or something like that, we have other people that know how to make our products and keep the supply chain coming.
That's great. So I will see those U30Cs sooner rather than later. Then my Reading units are on their way. That's what I'm telling. That's what you're telling me.
I would say a little bit after summer.
After summer.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Because I'm very anxious for them, because they're the last locomotives I need for my roster.
And they'll have the drip strip above the cab.
Yes, they'll have the drip strips and all of that. No, I'm very excited, and that's one thing I just me personally, I have to editorialize. Atlas has always been had a near and dear place in my heart, because you were offering stuff painted and lettered for Reading long before a lot of the other manufacturers were. So
well, we're all anthracite modelers at Atlas. We're all New Jersey guys.
Right. So it's you model what you see, what you know.
We have a little preference for the stuff we see, and Lehigh Valley, Reading, C&J.
Right.
They all get treated pretty well from Atlas.
Great. So I'm seeing here something that says Train Kids. Tell me about that.
Train Kids set is a battery-powered set. It's the wheels are HO wheel spacing, so you can run it on Dad's layout, or you can run it on the floor on the dead track that we have.
Okay.
And it comes with a little TV remote that has lighting functions on it, horn, and it's made for 3+. So it's a good way to start the young ones in the hobby. They can play with it on the floor, and then when they get a little bigger, they can put it on your layout. You can transition with it.
So this is a way to lure kids into the hobby, smart kids. And you said it runs on HO track.
Yep, the rail HO track, but it's also we have dead track. Like you guys can't see it here, but we have plastic track with just snap together plastic track that they can put on the floor, make their own little layouts, put the Matchbox cars on, and then when they get a little bit bigger, they could carry it to Dad's layout, or Grandpa's layout.
Right, and I see you've even got some glow in the dark track.
Yeah, we do. So that's really off the wall, but it's just fun. It's for kids. So.
And that's the thing with little kids. You've got to have something that's going to be fun and is going to hold their interest. And that's a great idea. That's a great way to get them into the hobby in a way that's not intimidating for them. It's friendly for them, but it feels like Dad's trains, right?
They feel like they're playing alongside Dad or working alongside Dad.
Right. That's a great idea.
Yeah, Dad doesn't have to stress about them breaking the $300 locomotive or anything like that.
Right. With regard to the big kids track, is there anything new in the track line?
Nothing new in the track line report right now, but we do have a new accessory over here for HONN.
Okay.
So we have container trailers. These are mobile offices,
like a job site type thing.
You see them in yards, construction zones, and these are pretty cool. They're have separately applied lighting fixtures, AC units on the ends, and even conduit running on the backside.
Oh wow!
Yeah, really neat. And this is just like something that any modern guy can use, 90s and up. Mm-hmm. You see these at any sort of construction site or even short lines, plop them in their yard.
Right.
I was over in the CSX yard here in Amherst, West Springfield yard this morning, and they actually had storage-type office containers like that over there.
Right.
So anywhere there's trains, you can have an excuse to put that on your layout.
Yep. And those looks like those are coming out early 24?
Early 24. So that's our early test shot. And I think they're going to be decorated really nicely as well. There's some colorful schemes for those. And,
sure.
And the HO price point's $29, and that's pretty good.
That's certainly reasonable for the level of detail that you're getting.
Yeah, it's a cool little model.
Yep. Anything new in O-scale? I know you have a very productive O-scale line.
Well, we have a lot of new arrivals in O-scale.
Okay.
The F40PH is acquired from MTH, our Atlas Premier F40PHs. They're arriving in a few weeks. They're on a container now, and first time we have two-rail pilots offered on these two for the two-rail guys. Everything Atlas acquired from MTH Premier is slowly but surely being two-railized.
Okay.
Because Mike, he offered conversion kits, but not from the factory two-rail.
Right.
So Atlas has a long tradition of offering two-rail. Mm-hmm. So we're continuing that with the Premier stuff as well. And for the ultra-modern guys, we have the 40-foot high cube containers coming in soon.
Okay.
These were requested because Atlas has a lot of intermodal O-scale cars.
Okay.
But the container that we offered, it's correct for the 1980s and 90s.
But you need something bigger.
We needed something bigger, high cube,
contemporary,
modern, to go with the Maxi 4s and the standalone well cars that just came out last year. So we have these new containers, really cool. High cube, accurate prototypes. They don't look like a toy. It's for the real O-scalers.
Yeah, I can see they have separate door latches on them and everything. Wow, yeah, and the lettering and the printing on them is very fine and detailed. No, very nice.
Yeah,
very nice.
I know there's other O-scale containers out there, but we wanted to do a scale one, detailed, to match our well cars.
Sure. Okay, and if someone wanted to either purchase these, I mean, obviously we want to encourage everybody to go to their local dealer, their local hobby shop. But what is the Atlas website, and do you have a Facebook page also?
We have a Facebook page, Atlas Model Railroad Co. And then our website is shop.atlas.rr.
Shop.atlas.rr.
Yep.
Okay. All right. Well, that's the latest from Atlas. Matt, I appreciate you taking some time to talk to us, and enjoy the last few hours of the show, and I'm going to be waiting patiently for my U30Cs.
Sounds like a plan, Tom.
Thanks a lot.
Enjoy the show.
Thank you. Okay, I'm here with Brian Bollinger from Bollinger Edgerly Scale Trains, Best Trains. How's the show going for you so far?
It's been a great show so far. Yesterday was a really good day. And like the fun part of the show, I think, is seeing all these people that I meet on social media. Mm-hmm. I've never actually met them in person, and then I get to see them at the show. So.
Right, it's kind of like homecoming week, right? Yeah. Everybody comes home and everybody gets to chat. Yeah. So can you tell our listeners about Bollinger Edgerly Scale Trains? What is it you do, and what services and supplies do you provide to the hobby?
We started out with prototype kits, which we still have, craftsman kits, I would. Mm-hmm. Then we added a line of castings, so we've got 500 plus castings, and then a couple years ago we added stains, so we have Vetero weathering stains. So we try to be like a full service craftsman kit provider, I guess. I don't know what you call it, but
right. Yeah, I see this wall of castings. I mean, it's anything and everything I think is there, from chickens and ducks to roof vents and chimneys. Where do you actually carve the little pieces and then create the molds, or are these?
So a lot of this stuff we've bought companies that have gone out of business in their molds, but we have done some of our own. Like we have original castings or masters, whatever you want to call them.
Okay.
The current process is to get a 3D model of something and then have it 3D printed in brass, and then we turn that into a master that we can cast.
Okay, you can 3D print in brass?
We use shapeways for that, but yeah.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that was possible.
Yeah, we did some little policeman, and I wasn't sure how they come out in HO, but you can see the buttons on their pockets and everything.
Wow.
So it's worked out pretty well for us.
So you primarily are in HO scale, or any other scales do you work in? Or
we have O scale shingles and N scale shingles for like the scratch builders. Mm-hmm. But as far as the structures and stuff, it's primarily HO.
Okay. And tell me a little bit about your stain line.
So basically, a long time ago, my dad was a contractor, and I'd go to hardware stores, and there was a certain name brand that used to have little, I don't know, like a few ounce sample cans of stain or whatever, and then that company stopped having them. I don't even know if that company's around. And so as those cans of stain got used up, I wanted more, and so the only way I could, I had like paint samples on the basswood that I use, so I just started making what I needed, and it kind of grew from there.
Okay. So you produce the stain in-house?
Yes. Yep.
Wow.
Yeah,
So
I
you're
spent about 2 years studying like different methods for making stains and stuff like that, and then I got to a point where to get some help, I talked to a chemist, and then took some surveys from modelers, like, do you want water-based? We got different people's opinions. So it's half what people recommended to me, and then half, what I got help with.
Yep. I notice you've got a really wide color palette. Everything from the traditional browns and grays and the barn reds to even some, more with yellowish and bluish and greenish tint. So you can pretty much do any kind of wood building or anything. And the bottles, I have to say, are very nice. It's almost like a pocket flask type.
Yeah, it's exactly what they're in. I was just trying to find a way to stand out, and I know a lot of the other stuff that's on the market. It's what everyone does. We do it when we started. You go to Staples, you get some labels, you run them through your printer, and you stick them on whatever you're selling.
Right.
And I just wanted to try and stand out. So.
Now, I see some of the bottles are in crates. Do you actually sell the crates also, or are those
we
just
do.
for display?
I did a photo shoot last summer, which was in, I think, the December issue of the Craftsman magazine. And after the photo shoot was over, so if people want them, we're selling them for like $25. Or if you buy a bunch, I just give you one. You buy a bunch of stain.
Very nice. And I see you've got all kinds of different shingles here, all different shapes and colors and everything there as well. So basically, it seems to me like you're a one-stop shop for the craftsman structure junkie, the scratch builder.
Yeah.
Everything.
I mean, about the only thing we're not selling is like the raw strip wood and stuff like that.
Right.
So.
Right. And I was here yesterday. I bought a bottle of stain, and I was waited on by some of the most courteous salespeople that I've ever encountered at a show.
Those are my daughters.
These are your daughters.
Yeah.
So you've got your whole family involved.
Yep.
Now,
so if you got help with stain, you were helped by Ayla, and she's 10.
She's 10.
And we kind of like told our kids ahead of time, like, you're going to be in charge of this stuff, and Kyla is 12. We put her in charge of casting, so she's with like 500 and something. She doesn't have them all memorized, but she has a good idea where stuff is. So if you say, hey, I need some cows, she can find them pretty quick for you.
Wow, that's
like,
awesome.
Oh, I need some chimneys. She'll know where a couple different chimneys are.
And do they enjoy doing this, or is it you got to twist their arm a little bit, or?
When we're at home, I have to twist Kyla's arm. Ayla will do it on. Ayla can run a laser. So at 10, she'll come home and throw some wood on and cut some kits. And we pay them.
Sure.
I mean, like, they pack orders, that's their allowance. But if they do production work, then we pay them.
Wow,
and we don't
awesome.
force them. So if I say, hey, I'm going to go down to the garage and work for a couple hours, you want to help me? They're like, do I have to? And if they say, I don't know, they go, okay, I'm going to stay up here and play with Lego. Like, I'm not going to force them.
Now, are any of your kids, are they modelers themselves, or do they have any interest? Or?
Ayla does. Last year, Ayla had a couple models here she built up. So we have little kits that sell for $20. We call just the basics.
Okay.
So as in, like, it just comes with the basic stuff you need to build the kit. It's got the roof, the windows, the walls, but there's not castings, there's not shingles, because a lot of guys have stuff left over from like the bigger kits from South River Model Works or Fine Scale Miniatures, and
right.
so, or they just use tar paper or whatever. So we tried to make the kits super cheap. She's built a few of those.
Wow.
And she had them here last year, and she had like a price tag of $60, and she sold them both.
That's
like nobody even
fantastic.
tried to talk her down or anything.
That's great. Great. Now, do you model yourself, or does the business take up your all your free time?
I don't currently have a layout.
Okay.
And actually, it probably doesn't look like it, but this is what we do in our spare time. Like, my wife and I both have full-time jobs.
Apart from this?
Apart from this. And then I'm the stay-at-home dad, because my wife's job is better than mine.
Okay.
I mean, pay-wise. So.
Wow.
Yeah. So
well,
this will all pack up and be in a two-car garage. A big two-car garage.
For being a side hustle, this is pretty impressive, Brian, I got to tell you. So one last question. if people want to find out more about your products and order online, do you have a website?
Yeah, besttrains.com.
Best Trains, is that with 2 T's?
With 2 T's in the middle.
Best Trains with 2 T's in the middle.
Yep.
Okay. Well, Brian, thank you so much for taking some time out. I know it's definitely a busy show today again. I really appreciate it. And again, that website is Best Trains with 2 T's in the middle.
Yep.
All right. Thanks a lot,
Thank you.
Brian.
Okay, so now I'm standing in the Hattons booth, Hattons Model Railways, and I'm with...
Hi, I'm Jack, and I'm the marketing officer for Hattons Model Railways.
You're the what?
Marketing executive.
Marketing executive. You're going to have to talk slow for me to understand you.
I'll slow it down. It's a Liverpool accent.
Liverpool. Okay. Home of the Beatles?
Yeah, that's the one.
All right. And where is Hattons then?
Yeah, so we're based in Liverpool in England, just outside in a town called Widnes.
Right. Just outside what?
Just outside Liverpool.
Just outside of Liverpool. And what is Hattons exactly? I was talking to some fellow last year about it, and it basically sells used locomotives and stuff?
So we're one of the UK's biggest model railway retailers.
Right.
So we were established in 1946, and we sell a lot of new products, so mostly UK outline products from, all the major brands like Hornby, Pico, Dapol, Helgen, which are big UK brands. But we also buy and sell collections worldwide of pre-owned items, so we buy and sell all kinds of different things. So HO American,
Right.
Continental Europe, Japan, loads of different items. So we usually have around 24,000 product lines at any time
Really?
in stock. Yeah, so we got a huge inventory.
So it's hattons.co.uk.
That's the one.
Let's sit down.
Yeah, let's go for it.
And what's the other website there?
So we've got a sister website called hattonsmodelmoney.com.
Yeah.
And that is our dedicated portal for trading in. So if a customer has a collection of items they don't want anymore, you can use our dedicated website to build a list, and then you submit it to our expert team, and then they will give you like a free valuation on it, and you can trade it into us. We'll sort out getting it posted over to the UK, and then that's it. It's clear. You don't have to deal with it anymore.
So anybody that wants to liquidate a collection
Yeah.
goes to hattonsmodelmoney.com.
.com.
Fill out what you have.
Yeah.
You guys evaluate it.
Yeah.
And if the person giving you the list agrees to the price, you'll buy it. You'll pay for the postage.
Yeah, in most cases, yeah. So especially if it's a larger collection,
Wow.
we can sort out a courier for that. We like to make it as easy as possible, really.
Right,
So,
yeah. Okay, so let me ask you a hardball question, a tough
Go
question.
ahead.
So when you're making these evaluations, are you looking to, like, lowball the people?
No, not at all. We always try and give as fair a price as possible.
Yeah?
Based on market values, obviously we have to make a profit there.
Right.
But we're not going to give, the lowest ball offer possible. We're going to give a fair price.
Right, based on wanting to make a profit at the other end.
Yeah.
A reasonable profit.
Yeah, that's it, totally.
Okay. And how long has Hattons been going?
We were established in 1946
Right.
in Liverpool, England, so homegrown company. It was started by Norman Hatton after he was in World War II. And then it's just grown from strength to strength, really. So we've got a large warehouse in Widnes, which is just outside Liverpool in the UK.
In what? Witness?
Widnes. It's a strange one for over here. Widnes.
Oh, okay. All right. And so why did you guys start coming to this show?
Well, we've always had quite a big customer base in the US. So we've traded internationally for decades. So we've got a lot of customers. Obviously, most of our customers are in the UK. We've got a lot of customers in Ireland, Australia, USA, Canada. USA is one of our biggest markets.
Right.
So
Really?
we just want to get out here, meet people, speak to you guys, get a lot of feedback, and hopefully make some new customers as well.
Right,
So,
yeah. So when you say USA is one of your biggest markets, is it your biggest market for European stuff or North American stuff?
That's a good question. I mean, the type of products that people in the US buy is quite varied. So we've had a lot of customers at Amherst telling us about how they buy a lot of UK products from us because we We offer really good shipping to the States. There's some people who've actually had stuff next day from the UK to America.
Really?
Which is fantastic to hear. So quite often people are buying UK stuff from us, but sometimes they're buying European. Sometimes they're even buying. So a customer in the US might have traded in their secondhand collection to us,
right?
And a customer in the US has then bought it back into the US. So we do a lot of that goes on as well.
Really?
Yeah. But we try and offer as best of a service as possible for our international customers. So like I say, really fast shipping. We've got lots of different shipping options. And we also offer a service called the trunk as well, which is basically where you can buy something and we'll hold on to it for you. And when you've bought other things, or you might want to place different orders at different times, wait for something else to come in, you can put it all together in one order and get it shipped out all in one go.
Right.
And then you only have to pay once for shipping.
Right, yeah, okay.
So,
all right. So, I'm fascinated by this because I interviewed one of you guys last year. How many guys work at Hattons? People
at the moment, I think we got about 60 staff.
60.
Yeah.
So is the hobby pretty big in Europe and England?
Very much so in the UK. It's incredibly popular and it's doing very well at the moment. There's new manufacturers coming onto the scene. Pre-owned market is very strong. There's a lot of products on the go.
Are you a model railroader?
I am. I'm more of a hoarder than a modeler, I suppose. I buy stuff that I like,
right,
and then it goes on display, but I haven't really got the space for a layout. So.
Okay, yeah, because a lot of people don't have the space for a layout in the UK, and yet it's a popular hobby.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, there's a growing amount of people getting into it, especially, people might have like a spare room or get it out and put it on the dining table or something like that, so.
How long have you worked for Hattons?
I've been with Hattons for nearly 6 years.
Wow.
So.
And so me personally, I think the hobby's growing like crazy.
Yeah.
What do you think?
I totally agree with that. Yeah. I mean, judging from just being at Amherst the past 2 days, the amount of kids here, the amount of families, the amount of the diversity in the people that is here is great, to be honest. And we see that at the UK shows too. That there's more younger people getting into the hobby, and there's the numbers at the shows are growing.
Right.
But particularly at this show is where I've seen the most diversity, and just how many people have come through the doors it's great to see.
And so how often do you get Americans or North Americans selling their collections to you? Like, is that pretty common?
Quite common, to be honest. Yeah.
Really?
We've advertised in the US for about a year and a half, I'd say. And we've had a lot of customers saying like, "Oh, I've seen your ads online. I did a trade-in with you, and the service was that good that I've used you to trade in other stuff since then." Because there's not many other people who do it the way we do it. Really, we try to just have it all in one simple process.
Well, it's incredibly unique.
Yeah. Because, like I say, you can build the list on our website, or if you've got a lot of people have spreadsheets tracking their collections, or they have documents about it. As long as you can upload that to us and maybe give a few photos, we can certainly give a valuation there. So a lot of people just keep coming back because it's just so easy to trade. And it's a lot easier than having to do it all on eBay or Facebook Marketplace, individually listing everything, the hassle of shipping it,
So photos are photos necessary, or they're just better to have?
We prefer to have them just to get an idea of the condition and things like that.
And that's pretty easy for people now. They just do it on their phone.
Exactly.
And send you the email.
Yeah. And with building your lists online as well, you can do it from your phone or your PC. And we've even got a feature where if there is a barcode on the box, you can scan it.
Oh, really?
And it'll search our database and it'll pull that item up. So you can either if you can't do that as well, you could search for the code of that item, the road number, the paint scheme. We've got a huge database, so it'll search through that and then try and find those items for you, or you could add it yourself. So we try our best to be simple.
So you guys say you started advertising in the U.S. about a year and a half ago.
Thereabouts, yeah.
And why? What was it that drove you? Do you know what drove you guys to do that?
Well, like I say, we've had a lot of U.S. customers for decades, to be honest.
Right.
And we've with the UK items that we sell, they have been popular in the US too. So it felt like a logical step to start, embracing our US customer base more. And And you know, like I say, coming to shows like this, we just want to meet more people and spread the good word about Hattons in different countries too.
And so after last year's show, which was a very low attendance because of the snowstorm and COVID and all that stuff, did you hear about COVID? Did you hear about the worldwide?
Oh, that thing, yeah.
So after last year's show, did you notice any bump in business from America, from the stateside?
I'd say so. We saw a bump in business from COVID anyway, but since the show last year of America, I'd say there has been an increase in interest and traffic from the US. So
and this year you got probably be like 20,000 people instead of.
I'm certainly hoping so.
So it's going to be interesting to see how much it bumps up.
Yeah.
After this year.
I'm very excited to see what happens.
So what do you do there?
So I look after all marketing for Hattons. So any content you see on our website, any of the social media stuff, emails, stuff like that, that's all me. And I come to the shows. I do a bit of it. I like to say I do all the fun stuff.
Okay, so let me I'm sure you've listened to this podcast, all the episodes, and some of them twice.
Of course.
Of course, exactly. So let me ask you, I believe that social media is what's making this hobby explode.
Yeah.
Because people can now connect. This was a hobby that everybody was living in their basement and, or whatever in UK, their garden shed or whatever.
Yeah.
And there were a lot of people that were loners, and now they can connect so easily.
Yeah.
So, it's through social media, which is what you do. Have you noticed that? Or?
I totally agree. It's a lot easier for people to get exposed to the hobby now. So the more people that are sharing content about what they're building, what they're doing with their purchases, the better, really. Especially in the UK, there's a lot of good influencers now who are really helping to bolster the scene and get new people into the hobby. So, a lot of YouTubers out there, Instagram influencers, the more the better, I say, because the hobby needs that to keep going forward.
Yeah, and it's going to keep going forward now.
For sure.
I personally believe that Al Gore, who is the vice president of the United States, says he invented the internet.
Right.
And I think he did it specifically for model railroading. he just didn't want to make it public because then people would go, what are you doing that for?
Yeah, totally.
So it's Hattons, and you go to hattons.co.uk.
That's it. That's the one.
And I'm sure on that URL there must be a link to the money one.
Yeah, that's it. So you can find everything you need to know on our website. Obviously, you can buy from all our different product ranges at hattons.co.uk, or if you go to hattonsmodelmoney.com, that's
what
where you
does
can
the
trade
website look like on your phone?
Perfect. We're very mobile friendly. So,
oh, really?
Yeah, if you use mobile, tablet, PC, however you fancy.
Seems like a lot of fairly young people work at Hattons.
We are quite. Yeah, there's a lot of young talent in the company, really. So it's still a part family-owned company as well.
Right.
So the Hatton family is still involved with the company, which is great as well.
Yeah.
But major employer in the sort of where we're situated in the Northwest, and a lot of young people working for us too. So
we have a lot of listeners in the UK, but not so many in Ireland. Is model railroading popular in Ireland?
I think it's increasing. There's some new manufacturers in the Irish sort of scene coming through now.
All right.
And they're producing some very nice models as well.
Yeah.
It's still quite niche, but it's getting there, I'd say. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, that's it, Jack. It was very fun talking to you, actually. You seem like a fine young man.
Well, thank you very much. Appreciate it. Thanks for coming over.
Say goodbye, Jack.
Bye, everyone.
No, goodbye, Jack.
Bye, Jack.
All right. I'm here in the Mallory building, and I'm here with Karen Confer, who is the chair of the Reading Company Technical and Historical Society HO Modular Railroad. Hi, Karen. Thanks for making some time to talk to me here on Sunday morning.
Thank you, Tom. I'm happy to do that.
So tell me a little bit about the Reading Company Technical and Historical Society.
The society itself was founded in 1973, and 1976. And the Historical Society are members from the old railroad and got together to keep alive the Reading Railroad. And the modular itself was formed in 1983, and we're celebrating our 40th anniversary this year. And we are 160 feet by 18 feet, and we're having a ball here at Amherst.
Is this your first time here at Amherst?
Yes, this is our first time, and it's been basically 2 to 3 years of work focused to come to this show. We don't normally set up a layout this large at a 2-day show, but this is the exception.
Right. And so it's the first time. So what are your impressions of the show and everything in general?
I have attended the show in the past.
Oh, okay.
The first time we came, we thought we were finished with the show and realized we had 2 more buildings to go through. Took 2 days. To be here participating as an exhibitor has just been a wonderful experience. The Amherst Railway Society guys have stopped at nothing to make sure that we have what we need. And my guys are the best, and the ladies that are with us are the best. And it's just been a wonderful experience, and we're having a blast.
That's great. That's great. So tell me a little bit about the modular layout. How it looks like there's primarily scenes from different places along the Reading Railroad, or the former Reading Railroad, but there's also some modern era scenes too. How do you decide what gets modeled and how things get executed?
Basically, we stay focused on geographic areas that the Reading once served. That's the main focus. And then the more modern things are to support the modeling hobby. That's part of our mission, is not only to keep alive the Reading Railroad, but be an active member in the hobby itself and bring people inside, let them run trains if they feel comfortable doing that. We have a couple people that sit and watch the dispatch board, and we use JMRI with Digitrax, so it's we feel it's a service to the hobby, and it helps us too.
Right, so you're not only working to preserve the history and the heritage of the Reading Railroad, which obviously is very near and dear to my heart, but also just a general ambassador and promoter of the model railroading hobby as well. So
That's
it's
correct.
It's a dual mission.
Yes, absolutely.
So you said that the modular started in 1983. So do you remember or know how long it was in 1983? Like, how long did it take you to get from the starting point to the full 160 feet that we see here today?
I think they started out with 4 corners. Dwayne, who is one of the original members, Dwayne Engel, who is also our society president, I will let him answer how it grew.
Okay. Hello, Dwayne.
Hello.
The question I had for Karen is, she shared that the modular started in 1983, so you're celebrating your 40 years. How big was it when you started, and compared to the 160 feet that we see here on display today?
Well, initially the layout started out as 10 by 12. It was basically for the 4 corner sections, 2 2-foot sections between that, and then 2 4-foot sections in between the corners, and that was the layout.
So about the size of an average HO scale bedroom layout.
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay.
Pretty much. And we just, everything at that point was built in small sections. The largest thing that we had was 2 foot by 4 foot, and that's how the first couple sections were done. And then we finally got to the point where we figured we need to start making these things bigger, so that we could get more scenery on them, and we increased the size.
Right.
So.
And I know you're on running Digitrax now, but it wasn't always that way, was it? You were running DC at some point.
We just ran standard DC, and what we would basically do is try and time trains, put trains out that ran well together. We had a couple places where we had blocks on the layout where we could stop a train in a block. But when we tried to double up on trains on running on the tracks, it was you put something out that ran the same speed as the other train. That's how you controlled it.
Right.
Because everything was just running on big power packs.
Right. And how has the move to DCC changed things or improved things for you?
Well, the operation now, we can run trains right at each other. We cross over. We go in and out of the yards. There's so many different things. We switch all the industries. You can run this like a real railroad, really.
Mm-hmm. And do you do that? Do you do any kind of formal operations on the layout, or?
I wouldn't call it formal operation. We have trains that will come out of the yards that will just run the layout, and then other trains that we have set up that can go switch industries. Mm-hmm. And so there's cuts of cars at Stowe Yard that can be picked up, and you can go switch an industry out, or several if you want to.
Okay, so a lot of it's just basically running the full lap, but some people that want to run a little local and play around, their switch and stuff, they can do that as well.
Yeah, and you can even do transfer moves, from one yard to another. Mm-hmm. You can do that. So interesting things you can do. It's not, because of it jumping scenes, it's not like your layout that some guys have in their homes where they build and model from one end of a division to another, and you basically run the division. Because we're jumping scenes, the layout isn't always the same at every show. So
right.
You have different opportunities depending on how we're set up.
Right. So, but are there certain modules that have to go? I mean, obviously some scenes take multiple modules, but if you had, let's say, a scene, can you basically put it anywhere, or are there certain things that have to go in a certain sequence?
There's certain ones that have to be in a certain sequence for the signal system, the way that operates.
Okay.
And then there's certain modules that are really required because that's where the base for the control units are.
Okay.
So you have to have them in for where they're plugged in. So wherever we have our boosters, as far as their station, that's where those sections have to be there.
Okay, and how much of the equipment that runs, the cars, the locomotives, how much of that is member-owned versus how much of that is owned by the group? Is it all people bring their own stuff to run, or is it all owned by the society, or is it a mix?
Right now we have a good mix, but I think the majority is privately owned by the members.
Okay. And do you have a core group, or do you have people that are here faithfully every time you set up, and so you always generally have a good idea of the equipment you're going to have to run? And
we have a core group. However, I spend a lot of time emailing, and hopefully when I get a response, a person's going to participate in a show. If they don't participate a lot, then I ask what they're bringing. And people like Dwayne and Bill and John, we get used to that they bring basically the same pieces of equipment, so we don't always have to ask.
Okay. Yeah, and I see that you've got a variety of equipment across different eras, different generations of diesels. I know there's some steam on the layout. I also see there's some modern power and modern equipment. Is that part of the idea of just being a bigger ambassador for the hobby, or is that like a fictional, like what if the Reading continued to exist? Or tell me about that a little bit. It's
both. Greg Janos has a silver and blue. What are his engines? What are Greg Janos' locomotives?
Oh, the ones that are in the Crusader paint scheme.
Yeah.
Yeah. So basically, it was a what if. We have some guys that took like a what if the Reading would have kept going and not going into Conrail. So you have newer power that was after the date of Conrail that is painted up in Reading paint schemes as if the Reading kept going. And then we also run Norfolk Southern and Conrail power on here too, because some of the scenes that we modeled are actually prior to the end of the Reading. They're still Reading scenes, but they're now in the modern time.
Southern, right.
Yeah, in the modern time. So what that does, that helps get some of the younger help more involved, because they didn't grow up with the Reading, so they're used to seeing the newer stuff. So we actually give them something that they can run. Those of us that are still the purists, we kind of try and stick to our era and stay with that. But it that works both sides for the hobby and also just promoting what's left of the Reading in general.
Right. Yeah. And there is a lot left. I mean, it's the main Norfolk Southern east-west line for sure. So where else will you be setting up this year?
We do 2 shows at the Great Scale Model Train Show in Timonium. We're there, ironically enough, we're there next weekend, and then we're back in October. We spend 2 weeks at the Railroad Museum of Pennsylvania out in Strasburg, and we are able to set up the 160 length. We can't be 18 feet wide because then nobody would have an area to walk. So we scale back down to 14 feet wide.
Okay.
And we participate in the Pennsylvania Christmas Show, which is held in the Farm Show Complex out in Harrisburg. We are technically the trains under the tree for them.
Okay. So the February show and the October show at Timonium.
Yes.
And then 2 weeks at Strasburg, and that is when? Is that in the summertime or?
The museum itself is closed on Monday and Tuesday. We are there the Tuesday before the 4th of July setting up. We run Wednesday through Sunday, then they're closed Monday and Tuesday. We will go back, I believe it's July 5th, and we'll operate till Saturday, and then Sunday we'll tear down.
Okay. So you mentioned setting up and tearing down. How long does it take to set up and tear down something like this?
Well, this particular layout, I am very happy that we have about 14 guys here. Some of the wives have come and they chipped in this time, and we were built in about 3 hours and up and running with all the electrical work that has to be connected. I think it was just under 5 hours what we had a test locomotive running around the track.
5 hours. Wow, that's impressive. And how do you transport and store the modules in between events?
The modules live on racks, and we have 4 racks that live in the trailers. We have the oil refinery and the steel mill that are in a special built 4th trailer for them, and then they come off that trailer. They don't go to every show. And basically, it just lives between shows in the trailers.
Okay.
We will get them out of the trailers to work on them, but that's our storage.
And where do you work on them?
We work on them at the Reading Railroad Heritage Museum in Hamburg, Pennsylvania. And we were blessed to be given a room. And recently they gave us climate control, and we are taking full advantage of that to update scenery and work on the power blocks and, just do everything we can to make it better and better.
Okay. Are there any new modules planned or under development right now that we'll see down the road? Or
there is a module, milepost 53, which is blank here at this show, and there are future plans. I don't know how quickly, time-wise. We are going to build Hershey Park to go with the factory, and that is on its way. That's 3 8-foot modules right now that are set up to get going on. And there's also the plan to hopefully build Manayunk, because we need more passenger territory.
Okay. Manayunk, right outside of Philadelphia, for
Yes.
those who may not be familiar.
Yes.
Part of the electrified commuter territory that the Reading had. So what is milepost 53? Where is that?
That was put in for signal block purposes.
Okay.
And the scenery is going to be an abandoned farm, which
Okay.
you will see if you travel around southeastern Pennsylvania or into New Jersey where the Reading ran.
Okay.
You will see a scene like that.
Okay. All right. So where can people find out more information? Do you have a website or a Facebook page that people can check out to get dates and information and things like that?
We do have a Facebook page,
Okay.
RCTHS modular HO modular layout, and there's also a link through www.readingrailroadmuseum.org.
Okay. So that's RCTHS HO Modular and ReadingRailroadMuseum.org.
Yes.
Okay. Well, Karen and Dwayne, thank you so much for taking... Oh, one last thing I nearly forgot to mention when we were touring around here yesterday, I heard a lot of applause and noise, and I think there was a little bit of recognition that you got for being here. Tell us about that.
We are just blown away. I mean, I expected nothing like what happened. We were awarded the
Best of show.
Thank you. The brain just went dead. The best of show in layout category, and
Wow.
the Amherst Railway Society has been over talking to us, and the other layouts have come over, and one layout said they were going to go home and put their layouts or their modules through a wood chipper and start over.
Well, I've been hearing comments from friends that are here at the show who it's their first time seeing it, and they've all been very, very positive and incredibly impressed. And I know just in the intervening years how much it's grown and expanded, and the modeling has just gone next level with a lot more lighting and things like that. So it really is something that's an impressive thing to see. So for those of you that are listening, check out the website or the Facebook page, and if you can travel to either the Timonium Show or the Strasburg Railroad Museum in the summertime, it is definitely worth checking out. So Karen, thank you so much for making some time to talk with us today. We really appreciate it, and we'll be looking to see your continued progress as you go forward.
It's my honor to talk to you, and I just want everybody to know that this is a definite team effort. We all find our little niches to work in, and it would not be possible to do something like this without everybody on board. So, and we appreciate the people here at this show that have come over and complimented us for what we have. It's just very touching.
That's great. That's great. All right. Well, Karen, thank you so much. We really appreciate it.
Thank you, Tom.
Thanks.
Okay, now we're talking to Ron Klaiss.
Sounds like nice.
Sounds like nice from Mind Mount Models. Look at your display now. Holy mackerel.
It's grown. It's my baby's growing.
It is growing.
Yep. I'm excited. It was a good day.
Yeah, it was it?
Yeah, Saturday was good. Sundays, it's the stroller crowd, but it's still doing pretty good today.
The stroller crowd.
Yep.
I like that. The stroller crowd.
Look around. You got strollers everywhere.
I know. And are you selling even today?
Oh, yes. Yep.
Yeah?
Doing well.
Is this like, would this be like, this probably is the show for you.
That's a big one. Yep. Yeah, this is a good one. Next week, actually, in case you get this out really quick.
Really quick.
Next weekend, we'll be at Timonium, Maryland.
Yeah, we won't be out that quick. But
okay.
It's interesting to talk about.
Yep. Sounded good at the time.
How big is that show in comparison to this one?
It's probably this, Billy. It's probably the Better Living Center size.
Really?
Yeah.
So it's a good size show.
It's a good show, yeah. A lot of layouts, a lot of vendors and stuff.
And you sell stuff there?
Oh, yeah. Do well.
Wow.
Now, it's the first time I'm doing the February show.
All right.
And I've done the October show, and that went well. But some of the guys that I'm around here in the Craftsman Courtyard, they said the February show is actually better, so I'm giving it a shot.
You got a lot of new. What's your newest thing here?
Newest one is going to be Utopia Cafe.
The who? What?
The Utopia Cafe. Chris Atkins might know about it. It's out of Utopia, Texas.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I was actually cruising around the Google Maps.
Right.
I'm like, Utopia? There can't be a Utopia in Texas. It's just impossible. So I zoom into Main Street, Utopia.
Right.
And I found this little cafe in the street there. And I'm like, that would be a cool little kit. And it was funny because Michelle, my wife, she was talking with her friend, and she's like, oh, well, Ron put out a new kit, Utopia Cafe. And the guy's like, I drive my motorcycle through there. I stop by. They have great pies.
Wow.
Yeah.
So that's how you got the idea. You were just Google Earth?
Yeah, cruising around Google Maps and
just looking for some stuff?
Yeah.
Really?
That's how I find a lot of stuff like that, yeah.
Wow. That's kind of cool when you think about it.
Yeah, I got a lot of files and a lot of pins on my Google Maps that, I got to build that. I got to look at that. And,
really?
It's a pretty cool idea.
And do you have any kind of organized way that you're looking at Google Maps, or you just kind of...
Sometimes I just follow train tracks around.
Okay.
Oh, that's kind of cool. And you start going up the line, and you'll see old ones through the woods. Like, okay, some of these old abandoned lines.
Right.
You'll see them go, and you follow to an old town, and you're like, there's got to be an old building, an old warehouse, a mill, or something like that.
Really?
Yeah. And so if it's cool, I'll just put a little reminder pin there.
And... So can you, when you did the Utopia Cath, could you only see the front of it, or could you figure out?
No, I saw three sides. I couldn't see the back.
Okay.
But, yeah, it see all three sides, and It's actually attached to a bigger cafe. There's a main building, and this was actually more like an annex, but
Really?
the little annex building is what caught my eye.
And how has it been released?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah?
Sell well, yep. Now, that one actually, I'm venturing into S and O scale. So the Table Master will be happy.
Table Master will be happy.
Hard Part wants Utopia Cafe. I put a vote out to the people, and the people spoke.
Okay.
So I gave them 4 choices of which kits they want in S and O scale.
All right.
And by a wide margin, it's going to be Randy's Auto Repair. That's going to be the first one in S and O scale.
Wow, okay.
And then Tom's Top Dogs, of course.
Right.
That'll be the second one. Utopia Cafe came in a really close third.
All right.
So
was there a fourth?
Fourth was Skips.
Oh, I like Skips too.
That's my first kit
That's
ever.
your first ever kit.
Yep.
And do you know how many Skips? What is it called?
Skips Bait and Tackle.
Yeah. Do you know how many of those you've sold now?
No. You ask me this every time.
I
no,
do.
I'm not Bernard. I'm not going to pull up my files.
I know, yeah.
I'm not going to do that.
I know. But aren't you interested?
Not enough. How's that? The answer is not enough.
Not enough. I like that answer. So, how about, I always ask you this question too, the expensive kits. How are they selling?
Really good.
Really?
Today, yesterday, I went through a lot. One guy bought Wilson's mustard.
Yeah.
I was talking to some customers, and my wife sold Wilson's mustard, and she turns to me. She goes, I sold Wilson's mustard. I'm like, oh, cool. But the guy took our price sheet. I'm like, all right, well, that was a $130 price sheet, I guess. But I said, that's fine. As long as he built a kit, he can have the piece of paper all he wants.
$130 price sheet?
Well, it's like, just told the price on there. He ended up grabbing it and sticking it in his bag and took off. I'm like, as long as he built the kit, that's cool.
No, I see.
Yep.
Doesn't cost you $130.
No.
It's just a picture.
Yeah. He spent a lot for that piece of paper, though.
Yeah, exactly. And did you sell more Wilson's mustards?
Oh, yeah. Wilson's mustard was pretty popular this weekend.
Okay.
Yep.
It must be pretty rewarding by now, eh? Like, how long has it been?
About 4.5 years. Coming up on my 5-year anniversary, October.
Going to do something special for that?
Yeah. There's going to be a limited edition coming out.
Oh, really?
Yep. So I'm pretty excited about that.
So have you been searching on Google Maps for it?
Some of it, yeah. Yeah, some maps, some ideas, some out of the rattling brain of mine.
Right. So does it get to, are you at a point now where there's just like so many things you want to do?
Yes, and not enough time.
Right.
So, I still got my hardware day job, and I told my boss a little bit ago that I want to cut back a couple days.
Really?
Yeah, we'll see how that flies.
Yeah.
Because I want to dedicate more time to the company.
Okay.
Yep.
So that'd be fun.
It's going well. Yeah.
It's going that well.
Yep.
And I see you're doing some 3D printing now.
Yeah, that's. You can see I blew through all kinds of HO. Scott Lister probably bought half my ass.
Oh, really? Did he?
No, he did pretty good. Yeah, and the O scale's doing pretty well.
So how hard is it to do the 3D? Like, how many machines do you have doing that?
Right now, I just have the one.
Right.
And it's really good because I'll draw up a file. Like, I want to do one guy just suggested simple, like, little concrete footings and stuff.
Right.
I could draw that up. I draw it full scale, shrink it down to whatever scale I want, makes it easy.
Right.
And then just print it up. I found that the key to the 3D printing is temperature and resin.
Oh, the kind of resin.
Yeah, I just found this new resin, Soraya-Tech. It's a godsend.
Soraya-Tech.
Yep.
So how do you find that?
I just looked on YouTube. I was looking at the Russian cart. Yeah, I just Googled it.
Yeah.
I had problems with some of the older resins that I was using and stuff. I had some failures, and it was getting annoying.
Right.
So I realized that my basement was probably a little chilly. So I got a warm box, basically. It's like what they grow plants in and stuff.
Okay.
So I got the right temperature, and I discovered this new resin. And it went from some things printed 100%. Some of them had 50% failures or 25% failures. One of them that threw me over the edge was a little table that I did that was, let's say I had like 40 of them on the build plate.
Right.
I got, out of those 40, 2 of them were successful.
Wow.
The rest of them failed.
Right.
I had to throw it away, so it was wasted time, wasted material. I found this new resin, and I was going to change the files and tweak the thing. I was like, you know what? Let me put this to the test, because people said this stuff works. So I put that to the test. I didn't change any settings at all. Dumped the new resin in there. Went to bed, woke up in the morning, 100% success.
Okay, so they can be printing while you're sleeping.
Oh, yeah.
So you're kind of doubling your time.
Yeah, the laser you got to watch, but the resin you can just let go.
Okay, the laser you got to keep an eye on it.
Yeah, you can burn a house down. You want to do that.
That's true. That would be kind of cut back on your ability.
Yeah, profit and stuff, yeah.
So in the 4.5 years, coming up to 5 years, what is the one thing that kind of blows your socks off about having your own business and being successful?
The reception from all the people. My customers, this show, this year, today, and yesterday, I got a lot of positive feedback, and I was iffy. I mean, I'm pretty proud of what I did. Yeah. But the reception that I've been getting from the people and what they buy and build and stuff, and they're saying, I love your stuff. Wow. And I'm like, that's the thing that really made me go, wow, maybe I'm doing something right.
Yeah, because when you do a kit like Wilson's Mustard or any of
the
these
Sunrise,
bars, the Sunrise, there's a lot of work that goes into it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. The bigger ones, they can take a few months to do.
Right, because you have to build one from scratch.
Yep, I design it, write the directions and everything. I usually build 2 or 3 prototypes because I'll mess up some measurements and test fit everything.
Right.
And then what you get in your directions are the actual kit that you see. I'll take photos of that step by step, and I have to write directions and everything during that whole time.
Well, your directions are awesome. Has anybody else said that to you?
Many people, yeah.
Which is huge.
And that blows my mind because I hated writing reports at school. Sure. Hated it. And I was worried about that. And probably that was in my favor because I worried about it so much. I probably overdid them.
Right.
Now,
that's like with the podcast. I always write like a 2-paragraph intro for the website.
Yep.
Or the Facebook page. And it's like, that'll hold me up more than anything until I start writing it.
Yep.
And then it's just a fun thing to do.
Yeah.
Before you know it, I've written the 2 paragraphs and I can move on to the next thing.
It could be a bowl full of shredded mind melt models.
Yeah.
And a nice warm glass of resin.
Yeah, there you go. Well, that's what we'll do. All right, that's it. That's all the time you're getting at the show today.
But wait, my check didn't clear?
Yeah. We'll get you on the show again.
All righty.
All right, say goodbye.
Subway chimes, go.
Okay, so now I'm standing here with Michelle Kempema.
It's good enough.
How do you say
Kempema.
Kempema. I actually knew that, and we're just about to do the draw for the Proto Throttle 1000 that has been donated by Iowa Scaled Engineering. Are you excited?
I am so excited. And I'm holding a proto throttle, so I'm always excited.
You're not holding, you're holding the Proto Throttle.
Number 1000.
You're holding number 1000. Okay,
yes.
We'll turn the mic over to Michael now. So, Michael,
Hello.
So now we're going to give this Proto Throttle. You're with Iowa Scaled Engineering. You're the owner of Iowa Scaled Engineering.
One of the owners, yes.
Right, you and Nathan.
Correct.
And you're in Des Moines?
No, a little farther west.
Whereabouts are you guys located?
In Colorado.
Why is it called Iowa Scaled Engineering?
Because both Nathan and I are from Iowa originally.
Oh, okay. And
You'll get this one of these days.
And when did you leave?
When did we leave Iowa?
Yeah.
Around 2000, 2001.
Then how old were you? Well, I mean, people are confused why Iowa Scaled Engineering is in Colorado. Like, I'm terrified that you're going to move to, say, Georgia.
Oh, Georgia now, not Tennessee?
Yeah, let's say you. Well,
Okay.
yeah, I'm not going to predict your life.
It's always been Tennessee in the past.
Well, a few times. So let's say you move to Georgia.
Okay.
And what will happen to the name then? Will it become Colorado Scaled Engineering?
We'll stay Iowa.
You think so?
Yeah.
You feel confident?
I'm very confident.
All right. Well, how confident were you that you were going to sell 100 Proto Throttles?
Not very much at the beginning.
So how can you be confident about anything you do?
Jeez.
All right. We're going to do it now. You and I are going to do play-by-play of Michelle pulling. There's a lot of people here, too. How many people are here? There's like 25, 30, 40 people here. Speak up. We can't hear you, Michelle.
I'm not loud.
Michelle says, thank you very much for donating to the Colorado Model Railroad Museum in Greeley, Colorado, where she's the mayor. You're the mayor? What do you do? So what is this money going to be used for?
This money is going to be used for the most critical project at the Colorado Model Railroad Museum.
What's that?
We need 2 power poles taken down.
Right.
We have to bore under a railroad track and then get our power back to our building and to our warehouse.
Why do you have to take the poles down?
Because where they are, we can't grow at all, and we can't build our garden railroad, and we can't do anything behind our building because of the guide wires where they come.
Oh, yeah.
So any growth for the museum, it's critical to take these down.
All right, to take these poles
And
down.
nobody wants to donate to it. I've got fence funders and garden railroad funders and bench funders and brick funders and all the fun things, which is wonderful.
Right.
But nobody wants to pay to change the electricity. So Michael said he'd be happy that we could use this money. And so we're going to use it for the electricity at the museum to power the building again.
What are you going
to take the poles down?
Well, we're in the works right now with Excel's our energy company, and so it's all about getting the permits with the city, with the Great Western Railroad, and we've been waiting for 3 months. We're hoping to get it done within 3 months, but it's $28,000.
Why the Great Western Railroad?
That's because it's the track on the west side of our building, and that's their track.
Okay.
Now, we've leased that land from them, and they're very, very kind, and they're trying to get the permit waived for us, but the power company isn't cooperating. So that's where it's at. It's a project.
All right. So what else fun things have you done this weekend?
This has been a fantastic weekend for me. I've seen all the people I love and met new people, which are amazing. And I gave you some grief about your shirt, so that was always fun.
Cool.
I've loved being a part of this booth and AML. And I bought something.
Good.
I bought some stuff to help me model for my Fremont End module, so that was good. And I just had a lot of fun, and I think that's what this hobby is all about. We did the Women in Model Railroading social, and we've signed up so many more women. We already had 90.
Really?
We had 97 members, not all women. Men are in it too, and I'm sure.
What's that? The Women in Model Railroading, and not all of them are women.
No, it's for everybody. We have quite a few. In fact, Gordy Robinson is member number 1. He signed up first.
So why would a guy join Women in Model Railroading? Now I'm confused.
So Women in Models Railroading purpose is to, 1, create social connection.
Social connection.
For women in the hobby.
Right.
2, to amplify what women do. So when women model, we want to just get that out there. And one of the things that, especially at train shows, that I think about when we started Women in Model Railroading is there's so many wives in these booths, as you look around here.
Yes.
Who come because they support their husband's business, and they know absolutely no one here.
Right.
And so I made cookie packs for all of them and went and talked to all the ladies in the booths who don't know anybody.
You were supposed to bring cookies for ours.
You got a cheese balls. I can bring you cookies,
said you were
too.
going to.
Actually, I'd still have some cookies.
Yeah.
So
that's a good idea, though. I like that idea. I still don't understand why men are involved, but I like the idea. I like the idea of there's lots of women in these booths that aren't connected to anybody, and if you create some sort of a
social thing,
a social connection network, they'll have a lot more fun.
So it's kind of networking. The men that are in there are really supportive. We have a few that come to Zooms. Their wives are in it too, most of them.
Sure.
And they're just we're excited to see what women are doing, and we want to support this because we believe that this is important. And
all right,
it's never meant to be divisive. I want to make sure that point is made. So anybody's welcome.
All right, so let's just cover one last subject.
Sure.
This is kind of, and I don't want any tears.
Don't make me
cry.
No
giggling, no tears.
Oh, I don't know about the giggling, but I'll try.
All right. What's wrong with this shirt? I'm wearing the Modeler's Life Marginally Adequate Goldenrod shirt, and you just basically go around the entire show constantly or posting on Facebook, you hate this shirt. And it's some people like this shirt.
Well, okay, so I don't ever say I hate that shirt.
You're posting, I'll never wear that shirt.
I will never wear this shirt because every time I wear this shirt, people go, do you feel okay? You look a little ill today. Because the color is not the most flattering color on the human
All right.
being.
I have one like this that's in red. Would you like that?
I would love that. I love red. In fact, I love my green shirt.
All right. I'll get you a red one then.
Now I just like to give you guys a hard time because it's something I can do. I get to tell you guys you look terrible in it, and it's super fun.
See, I would never do that to you.
I know.
Even though
you guys are sweet, and I love all you guys, and I like your shirt.
Yeah. Even though your gray shirt is, never mind. All right, say goodbye, Michelle.
Okay, goodbye, Michelle.
Okay, now I'm sitting with George Sebastian Coleman, noted theater playwright and a retired professor.
Correct.
All right, and noted model railroader.
And noted model railroader.
Yeah. How is your model railroad coming?
It's nearing completion,
Really?
scenic-wise at least. Lots of buildings still left to do. But it's getting there.
What size is it?
So about 24 by 27.
Okay. And what scale?
ON3.
And what is it based on?
So on the Denver South Park and Pacific Railroad in 1884.
What was the Denver South Park and Pacific?
So it's one of the narrow gauge railroads in Colorado.
Right.
Ran from Denver through the South Park to Buena Vista, and then up and over the Alpine Tunnel, which is what I model, to Gunnison. And it split in Como, and another branch went to Leadville.
And how did you end up deciding to model that?
So many long years ago, my brother and I picked up a copy of B.B. and Clegg's Narrow Gauge in the Rockies, which pretty much covered all of the railroads. And I just kind of fell in love with the Colorado and Southern, which is the later corporate name, and particularly, though, the locomotives, the Mason bogies, which are 266s and 286s. They're technically tank engines, though the tender sits over the trailing truck, and the main drivers pivot underneath the boiler. And
when was it? What age was it when you kind of decided this is what I'm going to do?
So I was probably, maybe 13.
Okay, so it's a lifelong, truly a lifelong love.
Yeah. So started in HON3, and I'd gotten, we'd had train sets as kids and that sort of thing, and then my family moved around a lot, so hadn't done any actual layout, model building, that sort of thing for a while. But actually got back into it. I picked up an N scale when MRC brought out their Berkshire, and I picked up one of those and thought I could build a layout and build a little 2x3 layout using it. And then we discovered the Hobby Bench in Pasadena.
Hobby Bench?
Yeah, it was a hobby shop.
Okay.
One of the classic great hobby shops with a wall of brass and all the rest of it. And made the jump to HON3 and did that. And on his shelf of brass at the hobby shop was an ON3 Mason bogie. And just at that time, this would have been 1969. So by then I was finishing high school.
Right.
Coronado Scale Models released a boxcar kit for the Denver, South Park, and Pacific. And so I went.
And then you were off.
I was off. And so basically since 1970, I've been modeling the Denver, South Park, and Pacific in ON3.
For 50 years.
God, don't say it that way.
All right.
But yes.
For several sets of 10 years.
Yes, for several sets of 10-year periods, yeah.
And now you were a professor at Notre Dame for a while, were you not?
So I did my doctorate at Notre Dame and taught there afterwards for a bit. And then in the search for a full-time professorship, ended up becoming an associate editor at Model Railroader.
And how old were you when you started that?
So I was already by then 40 years old.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. And eventually you became my editor for my column.
I did.
Now, because we try to, one thing you have to know about this podcast, George, is transparency is key. Transparency is paramount with us. Now, accuracy, we really don't care about it. It's an afterthought.
All right.
So whether the facts that we're stating are true or not really are of no concern to us. But transparency is a key.
Okay.
So I'll tell you a little story. When I did get accepted to do my column working on the railroad at Model Railroader, I happened to be in the building when Andy Sprandio was deciding who he was going to assign the job of editing my column to. And I happened to be outside the boardroom, and you and Jim Kelly and Marty McGurk were in there, and Keith Thompson. And all of a sudden, I heard you screaming at the top of your voice, "You're not forcing that on me."
Well, as long as we're not keeping going with facts, yeah, that was exactly how it happened. Absolutely.
So now how long did you work at Model Railroader?
5 years.
And then you moved on east. You moved east.
Yep. So my wife was working as well, and the insurance company she worked for got bought out by a bigger one. And they were headquartered out in Connecticut.
Right.
And they told her she didn't have to move, but it was one of those where it seemed likely that if she wanted to keep moving up that ladder,
right,
it would be a good idea to move. and it seemed an opportune moment. My family was on the West Coast, hers was in Massachusetts.
Right.
So we'd been thinking about trying to relocate anyway. So followed her here.
Okay, and whereabouts roughly where did you end up?
In Farmington, Connecticut.
Okay. Now, how far is that from where we are in Springfield?
About an hour.
Okay, south?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, pretty much due south. That's
and
why I keep inviting you to come down and see the layout.
I gotta come. I gotta absolutely have to
I
come.
had other Canadians there last night.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, next year I should make a point of it then.
Yes, you should.
Do you have a Facebook page or anything for your layout?
No, I have a channel on YouTube and on Vimeo.
Okay.
So you can look under George Sebastian Coleman on YouTube and find it.
All right.
It's not super up to date, but I remember to post things. There are videos.
There, so.
Yeah.
And why not a Facebook page? See, that's a bugaboo of mine. I think if you have a layout, you should have a Facebook page so people can follow along.
I probably could. I post regularly to the ON3 groups and the Colorado and Southern group and things like that. So, and the 3D printing groups. So I always feel like I'm pretty well covered. But because it's one more thing to do.
Well, yeah, but it's Facebook. It's really easy.
Well,
you take a picture and boom, it's up there.
I know.
I'm just saying. It's kind of I know you listen to all of our podcasts and some of them twice.
Oh, easily.
And so I'm constantly saying to people, have a Facebook page. Can you do me a huge favor?
Yeah.
This is a huge favor. I haven't asked you in advance. It's kind of putting you on the spot. But could you tell me a story about Keith Thompson?
Wow. What story about Keith Thompson should I tell?
How do you describe Keith? I mean, he was such a lovable character.
Yeah. Keith was sort of a classic nerd.
Yeah.
I mean,
but
this was early days of sort of, computers still. So when I first started at Model Rotor, while we were editing all our stories on computers and that sort of thing, we were still, at that time, still doing graphics and that the old-fashioned way with big cameras and that sort of thing. And during the 5 years I was there, we went completely digital by the end. So, we often turned to Keith for, help with these weird things like HTTP addresses and those sorts of things. Maybe my favorite story was one that actually, I'm going to blank. Not Andy, but my managing editor.
Oh, Jim Hediger.
No.
Jim Kelly.
Jim Kelly. Anyway, so that Kelly told, which was that Andy was away somewhere, and they needed to get some piece of information off his computer. And I think this was before he was editor. And Keith had said, "Oh, I can do that," because they couldn't get into it without the password and that sort of thing. And he said Keith goes in and types madly away for like 15 minutes and dashes things around and says, "Okay." And they all go, "Okay." And he goes, "Now I just need the password."
That sounds like Keith.
But he was, he was gregarious, loved to talk, loved to...
Yeah, like he was just a big cuddly bear.
Yeah. And he was a good editor. And so he left because they had twins.
Yeah.
And decided to move back to her home territory in Seattle.
I think she decided.
Well, I think so, but one way or the other, they went back there, and of course, then he worked for several of the magazines out there.
All right. So let's get back to your layout. So YouTube channel is George Sebastian Coleman, which will be easy enough to find. And you were talking, how do you power it? What's your means of?
So when I started building the layout, I was doing DCC.
Right.
I had a Wangro system that I'd gotten, back when I was first working for MR, and wanted to move on to radio control. and Jim Scorsese of North Coast Engineering, who they were basically the same thing, had said, you're going to need a newer system. That one won't do it, which was obviously a large expense. And right about that time, Dead Rail was sort of taking off.
Yeah.
And the Stanton system was out there. Northwest Shortline was carrying it. And so I thought, okay, well, I'm going to experiment with that and equip one of my engines, and that gives me radio control and that sort of thing, and at a much, much lower price than buying a whole new DCC system.
Okay.
And got it. It worked great. And then very shortly after that, my Wangro system went kablooey.
Right.
And so I was pure Dead Rail at that point, and haven't looked back. Most of my throttles now are CVP.
Okay.
And that I'm looking forward to Blue Nami, which is coming out through cooperation with Soundtracks, and that's a Bluetooth operated version.
Right, and how does exactly this Blue Nami work? Because George tried to explain it to me, George Bogatuk, but everything George explains to me goes at about 1 million miles an hour.
So basically, you're using your phone as the throttle.
Your phone, yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, that's the controller,
right,
and the Bluetooth signal.
Right.
And then you can. In my case, it's another Dead Rail system. It'd be a battery attached to the board.
Right.
The nice thing in this case is that the board and the sound decoder are all one and the same. Right now, I'm using a CVP receiver and a Soundtracks decoder.
Okay.
So there are two boards I have to fit in. And now with the Blue Nami, it would be only one.
One board, yeah.
Yeah. So I haven't done it yet. Because I don't have any engines that are requiring new stuff right now.
That's the way you're going to go.
Probably so.
Yeah.
It certainly seems hard to beat just from compactness. Now,
it seems like a very slick system.
Yeah.
And it doesn't seem actually that complicated.
No, and I mean the controller on the phone. And its programming abilities is really nice, at least from watching all the descriptions and stuff. A lot of people don't like the notion of sort of touch control. They like knobs and physical things. Though interesting, I just saw the newest announcement from Blue Nami is they've got on the iPhone, because it can do this, you actually have a tactile sensation as you're moving the throttle. And so you actually are getting physical feedback. That sort of thing. But yeah.
I was going to ask a really good question, but I've forgotten what it was. Oh, yeah. So what part of model railroading do you like the best? What part of layout building do you like the best? I don't think I've ever asked you that.
Building. I like modeling. And I like both structures and rolling stock and locomotives.
Okay.
So I kind of bounce between the two, but yeah, as long as I'm building something, I'm fairly happy.
Okay.
So I'm not particularly an operator. I have operated on people's layouts and I can find it enjoyable, but my thing is building and then watching the trains. I mean, I like watching my trains run through the scenery.
Right. And do you have any kind of continuous loop, or is it point to point?
So it's designed to operate point to point, but I do have a cutoff that allows it to run as a loop.
I think that's important. I'm going to ask you one last question.
Okay.
And then you're going off to get yourself 3D
scanned.
Yeah. Put yourself on the layout.
That's right.
All right. And are you going to get a little Lionel too?
I may. I need another guy standing out there on a platform somewhere.
Yeah. I was the first guy that Bernard scanned.
Were you the first?
I was the very first. Outside of his wife and his son, I was the very first person he scanned, and I was totally against it. I didn't want any part of it. But he insisted that he wanted to do it to help me raise money for my charity walk that I do every year.
Right.
And I tried to. I resisted and resisted and resisted, and then I finally went, And I basically stood there with my hands in my pockets.
Yeah, I noticed it.
Yeah, get this over with. And as soon as I showed it to my my psychiatrist, I gave her one when I saw her again. She said, "Why are you in a bad mood?" And then my secretary said, "Why were you in a bad mood?"
Well, it shows the detail possible with 3D printing.
Yeah. So when you get over there, for fun, you should say to Bernard, "I don't want to end up looking like Lionel."
Okay, I can do that. Because I don't, we're going for transparency.
Exactly. Well, not that quite that transparent. A little less transparent.
Okay.
We do have limits. How much fun oh, yeah, this is my last question. So I've written a novel.
Okay.
I'm 120,000 words in. I know what the ending is.
Yep.
It's probably another 20,000 words to get it done. But I stopped writing because I need a writing tip. My problem with, I love to write. You taught me how to write. You, George, for everybody needs to know, George very patiently taught me how to write. It was like I had my own personal English professor for 5 years. And I've put it to good use. So I would like to write novel after novel after novel because I have tons of ideas in my head. But my biggest problem is I'll write, say, 2,000 words. And I have to, if I want to write the next 2,000 words, I have to read the first 2,000 words. And then if I want to write, I got 4,000 words. If I want to write the next 2,000 words, I got to read the first 4,000 words. So I've tried multiple ways of convincing myself deep into the novel. Forget about that and just concentrate on the pages you're trying to work on. Do you have any kind of a tip?
Have you made an outline of what you've done?
No.
Well, you might try that. I mean, just do a chapter by chapter, just short summary. What happened in this chapter, what happened in that chapter, what happened in this one. And then, you probably will find that at most you need to read the last chapter just to make sure you've got that one in detail. But you won't need to read everything else because you can just go back and go, okay, this is where I am and this is where I'm going.
All right. So, yeah, that might work. Even if it's a fairly in-depth summary, once I do it.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot shorter than reading the whole thing.
Yeah, I can walk away from it. Even if I pulled out... all right, I like that. I'll try that idea.
Okay.
See?
Hope that works.
I know. Another English lesson from my Uncle George.
There you go.
Say goodbye, George.
Goodbye, George. And Lionel.
Rapido Trains.
Your fast track to model railroading fun.
Rapido Trains, your fast track to model railroading fun.
So what did you think of that show, Dave?
The show was fantastic, just like the podcast.
Yeah. No, I mean
I don't know that there's anyone that captures the energy of Springfield like you do with that mobile recording device. And I know it's funny because you've said before it was an afterthought. It wasn't, that wasn't your goal. And you're always like, well, I'm going to be exhausted after Springfield. I got to pace myself, which I can now understand. Because we do, it's true, but you really capture a lot of the enthusiasm of the show, and these are interviews, live interviews from the floor, unrehearsed, unscripted, and for all of you AML listeners out there, this is what it feels like. You can stop by the AML booth and you can meet Lionel Strang. You can stop by any booth and meet the people behind the hobby, and you cannot understand what a privilege it is. You have to come. You have to come. It's great.
And I'd only add one caveat to that. If you want to meet Dave, Uncle Dave Abeleys at the Springfield show, you're going to have to stand in line. Because a couple of times I wanted to talk to him and I couldn't get anywhere near him. For all the people.
Maybe that's why you don't want to put my name on the map.
No. Yeah, that's a nice one. Nice thought, though.
I would love to. I mean, it's a dream of mine now. It's another one of my little goals to get the Onondaga Cutoff name on the map for Springfield.
All right.
Be able to share that in Facebook. That would mean a lot to me.
All right. I'll work on it hard.
All right. Great.
I guess what I'm saying is I'm not guaranteeing it. So if it doesn't work out, but I will, in fact, work on it hard.
Well, and I'm again happy to donate, happy to be part of it however we can. It's just all good stuff. All good stuff.
Don't you still owe me $80?
You keep saying that. Doesn't that get smaller by itself or something? I mean, how could anybody be expected to pay anybody back?
Well, yeah, I'll never be broke, I guess. Davo's. I can remember. I know it as we get to the end of the last breath, I'll be going, Dave still owes me $80. Oh well, I guess I'm not broke.
Yeah, I'll just have to wait for the next Springfield show.
Yeah, there you go.
Then it'll owe you 160.
So anyways, yeah, what a great show. Lots of fun. I love doing these shows. I still can't believe, and I've done a bunch of this now, how that little tiny fits in the palm of your hand. What is it? Maybe 2 inches wide by 4 inches long with a couple of microphones. The sound you get from that thing just blows me away.
It's amazing.
Absolutely amazing. It is amazing. It's so small and it sounds so professional.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, it's opening people's eyes to the experiences you can have. It's great. It's very exciting.
Okay. This is on the free channel. So we got to be a little more formal with all of our stuff. So our email address is modelerslife@gmail.com. That's modelers with one L like Abelese, not 2 L's like Lionel.
There you go.
And we have a website, or if you didn't catch that, we have a website, modelerslife.com. And if you just scroll down there a little bit, you can click on a picture of the moderately agitated mailboy in a particularly agitated state, and boom, the address is filled in for you. All you got to do is fill in the subject line and your text, and you're ready to go. And if you like this podcast, this is on the free channel. If you like this podcast, for just a few cents a day, you can have twice as much podcasting a week by merely clicking on our Patreon link. And what happens is you'll get another podcast every Tuesday, and that we call like, I kind of feel like that's kind of like Andy Griffith of Mayberry. I kind of feel like it's sitting on the front porch, and Aunt Beast just made us a nice dinner, and well, it could be sitting on the front porch at your house.
It could.
It
could, and if you'd like a little bit more Mayberry, you can always just join the Onondaga Cutoff Patreon channel.
Well, I was going to get that because also on the, it's kind of like hanging around your kitchen, is what that's what the Patreon channel is like. It's much more family oriented, much more togetherness. It's like hanging around your kitchen.
It's certainly a lot of fun, and the Patreon channel, the AML Patreon channel, I think gives you a real insider's view to what happens with the community of the AML. You get to hear and see some more things along those lines, which are interesting and provide some context for you. And it really is. It's literally cents a day. It's not a big investment, and it helps you buy in and be part of that community and support the cause going forward.
And right below that link, there's a picture of me and Uncle Dave. And if you click on that picture, there's actually a button. If you click on that button, boom, and it takes you directly to Uncle Dave's Patreon page, which is even cooler stuff because Uncle Dave makes videos of working on the Onondaga Cutoff.
And we talk about philosophy. We talk about construction. We talk about, why we do things the way we do things. We make some mistakes and we grow through them. And it's a lot of fun to share it. And my kids make a couple cameo appearances here and there, as well as the evil overlord.
Yeah.
And there's even a few, if you dig through the archives, we have the current president of the National Model Railroad Association who makes an appearance, Gordy. I appreciate your support, my friend. And we got to get you guys remote operating here at some point again soon too. It's a separate discussion, but so far so good.
I feel like I'm becoming more and more qualified as time goes along.
I think you are.
What was I going to say? I was going to say something very cool about your Patreon channel. Anyways, it's really cool video. Oh, I know what I was going to say. I like when you do a little write-up, just something to read. I like those.
Yes, I have a couple more of those in the hopper too, and it's exciting. It's just the Patreon channel is such a great way to share some of the backstory and the operational philosophy with a greater community of people. People that really want to buy in and help support the atmosphere and the camaraderie that the Onondaga Cutoff has come to represent. So it's a great privilege to be able to bring it to everybody, and I'm looking forward to seeing you there.
And it's what, $6.50 a month?
$6.50 a month. Yep. A little bit more if you want a t-shirt. You get a T-shirt after your first year of membership with it if you go for the higher Concord. And one of the things we're going to be doing very soon is a live digital meet where we can have an open dialogue with some of the stuff about the Onondaga Cutoff. So that should be coming within the next couple of weeks.
No, that would be cool.
Yep.
People would find that very interesting.
Yep. Rich Wisniewski, the Wiz, is going to help me with that.
Oh, really?
Yep. And we're moving in the right direction.
The Wiz. Ever since I was a young boy. And let's see, what else did we? So we covered Patreon. We covered the email. Oh, yeah. And if you love this podcast and you want some AML swag, if you just go to Midwest Model Railroad, and their URL is midwestmodelrr.com, and scroll across the navigation bar to Other, and click on that drop-down menu. We'll have AML Shop on there. And if you go in there, boom, you are in a wonderland of AML merchandise, hats, hoodies, T-shirts, whatever you could possibly need. Although you don't need any because you got like a box full of AML stuff.
I'm in good shape. I got all the different colors.
Yeah,
I got different textures.
Yeah,
I even got one that's weathered.
That's right. And Rich,
that's
our buddy,
Rich's favorite.
I love Rich Winisky. He is so nice to me, and he is such an outstanding human being. But he gives me little smiles because when I sent him one of those shirts, he went, "Did you know that that didn't turn out right?" And I was like, "No, Rich, that's like it's hip.
It's distressed.
It's distressed." And we can thank Steve, the T-shirt guy, for that. I think that's it. I think we got her covered.
Well, all right. Well, it's always a pleasure. Thank you for having me on here for the intro and the outro. And we will see you again online, of course, but we'll see you at Springfield next year, hopefully with the OC name on the map.
I would promise I'm going to work hard on that one.
All right. I thank you, my friend.
Can I have my $80?
Of course.
All right. You know what? If I get that on there, I'm going to want my $80.
Well, right. You know,
at least.
Next Tuesday is coming soon.
Yeah, exactly. Is that what day you get paid? Is Tuesdays?
No, Wednesdays.
Do you get paid on Wednesdays?
Yep, Wednesday night, midnight. Yep.
My company, I've always done it on Fridays. Is it every other week?
Every week.
Oh, you get every week?
Yeah, I love the railroad, man. It works out all right.
Yeah, but you got to make that money last till the following Wednesday.
That's true.
Yeah. And maybe someday you'll buy an iPhone that's actually current.
No. Well, we never know.
My iPhone 14 is cool.
Oh, that's good. I'm glad to hear it.
Yeah. For those of you who don't know, the one thing that Dave and I argue about the most is one of us is a little bit more frugal than the other.
That's true.
All right, you ready?
I'm ready.
So remember, A Modeler's Life podcast is considered marginally adequate by 6 out of 10
people that patch a Penn Central boxcar.
And the lights all went down in Massachusetts the day I left her standing on the road, trying to hitch a ride to San Francisco. Got to do the things I got to do, and the lights all went down in Massachusetts.
4x4x4 car crushing action Saturday at the Spectrum. Burning motor coaches battle it out in the mud bog with special guest stars Heather Locklear and Knight Rider Car Kit.
It's another Lincoln Homer.
That came in from left field.
It did.
Threw the runner out at home base.
Nah, my good buddy Jim Hamoki did a beautiful tangent model for me, all patched up in Conrail, and I'm looking at it on the OC and was like, I'm going to mention that one tonight.
All right, that's a good idea. All right, it's time for us to go to... Well, you're going to bed. I'm going to finish this video.
Thank you, my friend.
All right. I'll talk to you soon.